Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. And in today's stream, I'm going to be working a little bit more on my assets. I actually got pretty far. I had finished up this segment of buildings right here off screen. Now I just need to work on this corner over here. And there's going to be a small set of buildings right here. Not really a small set of buildings, but just like a small building in the back right there. And I'm almost done. I just have to add some toning and some slight effects that once I get that done, then I can start exporting different elements to their own separate layers. But this project has gone on pretty well, pretty nicely, and I've really liked working on it. So I finished these buildings right here. They sort of act as commercial buildings like small shops and things like that. I actually want to, I missed the part right here that I can fill in real quick. The assets are coming along rather nicely. I kind of forgot to upload, my work in progress to like Instagram or anything. But for the most part, I have been enjoying working on this. I worked on a little bit this weekend, and it's really today that I'm going to be putting the final touches on everything. The hardest, or not hardest, but the longest part, personally for me, was just roughing everything out because I had to play a lot with line weight, which sadly I'd have to say line weight is one of my weaknesses when it comes to art. Line weight and foreshortening because it, I consider myself a good or well off artist. It's just when it comes to things like dynamic posing or like foreshortened posing where a character is coming towards you or moving away from you, that's what gets kind of hard for me. But I'm working on it and I have gotten better. So for this building, I want to go with some white just so it can stand out because if you tuned into my previous streams, a lot of the other buildings are dark in color. And I kind of have to go with a more simple design for this building because, again, it is in the background. So there's not going to be too much concentration. Like, because it's in the background, a lot of the features are going to be obscured or, like, less. It's going to be, like, obscured. It's going to be obscured and skewed because as something is farther away from you, the less detail in it you see. And so that is what I was trying to get across when I drew and designed this building. So I guess while I'm working on this, I can share a little bit more information on the setting. Like in my previous streams, I've talked a little bit about the characters, but let me go over the main setting for this show. So for Witches 13, I do plan on showing other cities. Like there likely be like a glimpse at, Florida, maybe Japan, even England. But for now, for the most part, the main setting I chose to sort of focus on and have the story take place in is New York. Because New York, as a location, historically, is the sort of coming together of multiple cultures. Like you have people from the South in New York, you have Northerners in New York, people from like China and Asia, all across Europe. So New York is really this location that is a sort of hot pot for different cultures to come together. And that sort of allows me to play with and explore the many races, the many fantasy races, along with other races that are going to be appearing in the show. Like, there are elves who are models who are very beautiful. There are also like a few cat girls who are also models, wolf boys too. There are some beastmen and orcs who are heavily concentrated in the more urban and rustic areas. They've sort of been pushed there. And yes, despite magic being a thing and despite everyone, you know, for the most part being on equal footing, racism and different fears and stuff like that still exists. Like, people are afraid of beastmen because they look like animals. People are intimidated by elves because they act smart or they act clever. And despite the world essentially being perfect or ideal, there are still issues and sort of complaints and other things that still happen in the world. So in Witches 13, in my show, New York is a hotbed for diversity. Essentially, after the Cascade, when magic returned to the land, New York, for the most part, did not did not return to this wild plant filled land like other areas around the world. What happened in New York is because of the uptick in magic and magical energy, it actually caused the land to reshape itself. There are segments of the earth that began floating. They became energized with this magical energy that causes land segments to float. So you'll have places like the Bronx and Manhattan, which are floating, but then other areas like different parts of New York. And I'm not a New York native. Like, I don't know everything about New York, but essentially what I'm trying to say is there are floating islands in New York, and they're sort of separated by these floating highways. People have like flying carpets and flying brooms that help them traverse the city in different floating masses. There are flying vehicles. There's like a sort of magical train station, a magical monorail system with a train that levitates and it creates its own track, which allows it to move throughout the city as well. And despite it being such a big city where everyone sort of has their own take on magic, limits and laws were still put in place mainly to protect people from those who would abuse magic. Like, despite everything having magic, there are still sort of rules. Like, you can't use magic wherever you wish. You still can't do certain things with your magic in certain areas and places. And I'll go more in depth. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still writing it. I'm still, writing the world and sort of writing the backdrop of the world. But essentially, this Neo New York is like New York just with magic now. Okay, let's see. Drawing these assets actually hasn't taken me that long. At least not as long as I expected. Like, I honestly expected that this would probably take me a week, when in reality, it's really just been like maybe like 3 days. Three, like, back to back days I've really dedicated on this. I'm not trying to say like I'm half assed or anything, or I'm not trying my hard or doing my best. Of course I am. Like, I personally feel like I am trying my best and I am making some good stuff. Like this is some good art I am giving you guys. Just when I first started, I kind of thought or felt like, is this good? Are they gonna like it? Like, am I doing my best? Which is funny once I say it out loud because I've actually been looking at my past streams. And the funny thing is, like, it's funny, but it's also cool how people, they may not watch my stream, like, while I'm actually streaming and recording, but, like, after the fact, my streams will, like, get some views, which is really nice. And I'm really glad that I don't have to be a sort of live figure just to get like attention or just to get acclaim. People just like my stuff enough to want to know about it and view it when I'm not even here, which is really heartening and warming. I am gonna have to play with these. I'm gonna have to play with these layer placements. I'm gonna have to put these buildings behind this cluster right here. And I also need to make sure that everything is in its somewhat proper place. Oh shoot, I forgot. After this, I still have to do like the potted plants and like the park benches and other stuff like that. It's coming along nicely though. I like how I've been doing so far. So right now what I want to do is let me make, I'll say, one, two, three. Yeah. I think I'll just need maybe 3 layers for this. So I am making mask layers so I can draw, color this without it bleeding over where I don't want to color it. So now what I'm doing is I'm getting the top of the roof, just the base coat, so to speak. I'm just making sure I fill everything in. Just adding some color for the doors. I actually just want a little bit of contrast because I know that it's just gonna help people who may chance to look in this area. It's gonna help them differentiate because while white is a good eye popper, and even though the windows are gonna be like this nice purple color as well, the overwhelming amount of white can actually harm the viewer's eyes. It's going to make them turn away or not want to look at this piece for too extended of a time, which could in fact hurt this scene more than help it. Just the door. I think this is going to come out looking pretty good. Okay. Okay, so this is the first time I may do this, and this could either help or harm this piece in the long run. But after I'm done filling in, I think I might end up playing with the opacity a little bit of the window. Because this is actually a very dark color and it's hard. I mean, even if I play with the contrast filter and the settings, it's gonna be hard for people to see the lines that make up the window. Like, I don't want this to be seen or interpreted as one single panel of glass, because that might be a bit too lazy. So I think a good balance might actually be, I might set the opacity to like 95 maybe, or 80. I'll look at 80, and then depending on how it looks, I'll bring it up to maybe 95. And one of the, I wouldn't call it a caveat, but one of the issues is I am actually looking at this from the perspective of my graphic tablet. So maybe it's just the brightness on my tablet. I do have my tablet's brightness kind of like, I wouldn't say it's maxed out, but it is fairly high. So I should be able to see the color differentiation between pixels. But just in case, rather safe than sorry, you know? Because another thing to look into and account for when you play with opacity is it's harder to hide where you actually placed your lines, because when you play with the opacity, then the colors can sort of, how do I put this, bleed over. So if I were to give you an example, like say I had some blue right here, then if I play with the opacity, then this area right here where the mirror is, it's gonna look different from where it is right here. And then you guys are gonna see this line right here bleed through, which is gonna have a whole different effect. And it's going to sort of, it's just gonna be bad quality. That's the best way I can sum it up. And just thinking about this and this playing over in my head long term, like if you told me, hey, Amobi, you're gonna be sitting at your desk working on a teaser trailer for your own show. And you told me this when I was like in middle school or high school. I wouldn't believe you. Like, I'd probably say, oh, I thought I'd be in a studio by now. I thought I'd be working on XYZ project. Like, no, you're working on your own show. And like, obviously, I am working on this not really as busy work. This is too grand, in my opinion, to just be disregarded as busy work. More so like, I guess I'm sort of this is sort of like my debut as an animator, maybe, which I think is kind of nice. Like, I love animation. I love animation. I love to animate. Even though I'm not the greatest, and even though, you know, I have a bad habit of comparing myself to other people, but I just love animating and I love spending long hours drawing. It's fun and it's a nice activity. And I'm actually glad I got into live streaming because, again, like, I never thought I would be able to live stream. I never thought I would have, like, the time in the day or the privacy to stream myself while I work on my animations. And like, now that I think about it, I do think that, hey, maybe I should have live streamed sooner. Maybe I should have done XYZ sooner. But I try not to get too absorbed in what ifs. I'm just glad that I started doing it now instead of never streaming before. Because this is actually really fun. It feels nice to just sit here and work and talk to people and sort of brainstorm my ideas or what I have planned. It's, I could almost call it liberating, honestly. I mean, honestly, I'm telling you guys right now, anyone who's watching this stream, or if the stream is over and you're just watching like the video, I think you should live stream. I think that anyone should live stream, and you can live stream about anything. You don't have to be an artist or an animator. You don't have to do anything crazy or wild. Just get out your laptop, download OBS. If you have a webcam, good. If you don't, then there are other sort of tools and things you can use, like a pair of headphones or a pair of earbuds with their own mic, or you could like just get anything. Like, I don't have a snowball microphone. I'm using like a pair of headphones that I use for Discord or when I'm gaming. Like, that's the mic I'm using to talk to you guys with. And the quality, I mean, like, I'm not gonna say it's like astounding quality, but it's something. It allows me to control, to some extent, what is being picked up, because there is one general area where I'm speaking into, and it's not like a globe mic where it can pick up all of the sound around it, which is good. But it's like, yeah, just get whatever you want. Like, even if you don't have a dedicated microphone, maybe like get some earbuds or some headphones or something, and just record yourself while you're doing something. You could record yourself baking. You could record yourself like walking your dog, or like playing with a pet or something like that. You could live stream like your pet turtle and just talk about stuff. If you are artistically inclined, you can like record yourself working on art, or like doing whatever it is you do. Even if you're an actor, like if you're an actor, or if you're like into drama, then just do some practice lines. Like live stream yourself practicing some lines, or live stream yourself doing like vocal exercises. Because I actually remember hearing it was either like it was either a YouTube video itself, or maybe I like got it from like an online sort of, not pamphlet, but like an online guide or whatever, where people actually perform better and work better or harder when they are being watched or when they're recording themselves, because it's the idea that you have to make sure that you're doing a good job because you don't want to disappoint people. Hmm. Oh, I was looking at something. I thought I forgot something, but then I remembered that I actually had to adjust and shift the final line art. Originally, you guys were going to be able to see more of the roof, but I kind of had to fix it and adjust it for reasons. Um, so right now, these windows are at 100%. So I'm actually gonna hide the rough sketch, and then let me go back to these windows right here, and let me see what they look like at. Yeah, that is not good. That is too light. I think I might have been right about putting it at like a 95. Mm. I can always go back and fix it. The main issue I'm having is because, again, the line right here is appearing on the foreground. It's actually meant to be behind this building right here, because this building is supposed to be obscuring this segment right here. I think it's just like a trick of the eye thing for me. Again, with this building right here over on this building right here is supposed to be in front of it. I just have it in the foreground for ease of drawing, for ease of painting, I mean. Painting, drawing, coloring, it's all the same thing. Now, while I have the color selected, let me go right ahead and just color this in. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to play with the opacity. It was really this building that just brought it home to me. I'm gonna need to like lower the opacity by like 5 points. Well, for starters, I already set the opacity too high. That's gonna burn my battery. Um, let's see here. Okay. Okay. I think this came out really nice, really good. So I just need to add a few props here and there. And I also need to get that building right there in the. I just need to get that building right there in the back. That's actually going to be fairly easy. At least I hope it's going to be easy. I'm just joking. So let me hide that right there. Okay, so this is gonna be fun because the because this building right here is gonna be so far back. I actually get to play with some of these smaller brushes. So I think I'm gonna use a 4. Kind of small, but hey. Now, I wonder what color I should make this building. Hmm. Let's see here. Okay, so we got some brown, grays, green, red. Hmm. What's a nice color that would stand out but not too much? So, hmm. 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 I kind of want to do what I did with this building, and maybe I can make it a. It's definitely going to be a light color. Maybe like a light blue or like a milky blue. Yeah, I think this would be a nice color for it. Let me go back to hiding these buildings. Go back here. I'm going to add a layer for the color. Sorry, I just had to take a little stretch. Let me get a sip of water too, real quick. And after I'm done with this, then I can start. Now, the actual props themselves, those are going to be simple and easier. I don't think I'm going to have to dedicate too much time to them. But I do want to add some, toning and different effects to the actual road itself. Give it some more dimension. Sadly, one of the faults of sadly, I will say that one of the faults of drawing assets is when you're drawing assets for something like an animation, you can't be too detailed and you can't add too much shading because it could end up hindering you. Like your whatever you're animating, it might appear over the shadow you just drew. And that can be sort of dimension breaking, so to speak. So it's best to I wouldn't say use minimal detail, but be careful with what you're choosing to draw and use. So allow me to color this in. If I'm being honest, I could actually be listening to music right now. The only issue, the only reason why I'm not is because of copyright. I don't really know like what music I can have on stream, and then I'd rather not play copyright free music because then you guys might just get jingles or different things like that. So for now, you guys just have to listen to my smooth and sweet voice. This is a nice color. I really like this blue I chose because it's going to allow for the background to stick out. This blue is going to act a lot like the white I chose for the other building because it's going to help the viewer better divide their vision. You don't want the viewer, at least for an animation, what you really want them to do is focus on the motion, on certain key elements. Now, you don't just want them to focus on the animation in general. Usually, animators they might they might draw something or animate something specifically for the viewer to look out at. Like they might have very close scenes or very like close ups of certain objects and things they want you to look at. But for the most part, animators, when it just comes to like a basic sort of rest scene or a basic sort of environmental scene, what they're gonna want is yes, they want you to focus on whatever motion is happening, but they don't want the overall setting to look bland or tired. Because then you guys might end up just not paying attention. And your eyes might wander, and then you might spend time off of watching the actual video rather than focusing on the video itself. Let's see here. Mm, sorry about that. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb mode. I usually try to be good about that. I usually try to just turn on Do Not Disturb or turn down my ringer so you guys don't hear notifications. That's rude of me. I apologize. So, I could. Actually, I know what I can do. Let me bring this to the forefront. I'll put it in front right here. Now I can play with the opacity. Mm, honestly, now I feel kind of ashamed. Like, some of these buildings definitely could have been bigger. But hey, this was a learning experience in and of itself. This was nice to do and nice to work on. So let me just not complain. So let me go to my brush. I'm then going to select a this brush right here, which is the soft round pressure, opacity, and flow. So what I'm trying to do is add a little tone and depth. And so what you're seeing right now is, even though it's light, what's happening is it's giving off this impression that the sidewalk is somewhat floating. And I am going to play with the opacity of this layer just because I don't want it to have too much of an uncanny valley feeling. I want it to what's the proper word? Uh-oh. Oh, Okay, guys, mistakes were made, and that was probably the biggest oopsie I've probably ever done. I accidentally drew directly on the layer rather than drawing on the mask, on the layer mask that I just made. Control Z is your friend, guys. Okay? Control Z is your friend. Mistakes happen, mistakes do get made. And I'm glad I picked that up early before I went too far. So, how about we try that again? So, I'm going to hide these. Hmm. Heck, nabbit. Better. Select that. And let's try that again, okay, guys? Okay, I am making some really good time. All that's left now is just to do some of these props, and then I'm gonna be done with these assets. And then I can import them, and I don't think I'm gonna import all of them into Adobe Animate. What I am gonna do is I'm going to import like the base stuff, like maybe the road, and then some of the props for some of the buildings. But after that, it's mainly just gonna be stuff in After Effects that I am porting over and putting my finishing touches on. But yeah, this certainly took me a while, but it's coming along really nicely, and I am enjoying working on this. Especially the assets. Like this is the first time I really dedicated like time and work to some assets that are for an animation. And honestly, it's nice and it's really cool to be working on this and doing this. But I have been drawing for a while, and I think I'm going to shift over to working on the actual animation now. I try to swap projects, or not swap projects, but swap things I work on so that things stay fresh and so I don't burn out or overwork myself. Anyway, this has been fun. This has been nice, and I'm glad for all who stopped by to watch and enjoy while I work on this. Anyway, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share even. This has been Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. I'll see you guys in my next one. I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye. Uh-oh. This is taking a minute. Excuse me. There it is. Let me in stream.